Welcome to In Brief series with King Edward VI, who was more of a figurehead than a king. Edward was King Henry's only legitimate son, born by Jane Seymour, the king's third queen. Edward became king at 10, however, he was a mere figurehead. He died at 15. Northumberland persuaded him to leave the throne to his Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey. At his birth, Edward was announced Prince of Wales, Duke of Cornwall, and Earl of Carnarvon. Edward was just a child begging his uncle for pocket money and beaten by his tutors. At Henry's death, the Earl of Hertford, Edward's uncle, and Sir Begay were planning a coup. Hertford would be Lord Protector and Begay First Minister. After Henry's death, the council accepted Begay's nomination of Hertford to be Lord Protector. However, it was without legal basis since it was not sealed. The Great Seal was in the hands of the Lord Chancellor Wriothesley, who refused to affix a seal to Hertford's, now Duke of Somerset, patent of formal authority. So Hertford forced him to resign. Lord Rich, Somerset's ally, was appointed Lord Chancellor and the Great Seal was affixed. He appointed some experienced elders to the Privy Council. However, he used them to endorse his own privately made decisions. Edward recorded the execution of Somerset and his younger brother with no emotions. Edward was nice to his stepmother, Catherine Parr. He spent time with his stepsister, Elizabeth, because both were Protestants, and was older than him by a few years. He was never close to his half-sister Mary, as she was old enough to be his mother, and she was Catholic. His two tutors, Richard Cox and John Cheke, were appointed when he was 6. He was a devout Protestant, but it was his guardians who instigated him to enact many pro-Protestant laws. Edward's younger uncle Seymour was jealous of his elder brother. He wanted to share authority with him. Somerset, the elder brother, was generally kind, but his wife was a real nuisance. Seymour had a right to be jealous. After Henry's death, Edward declared his elder uncle Duke of Somerset with £7,400 a year, while Elizabeth and Mary took £3,000 each. So Seymour began to plot against his brother. Seymour flirted with Elizabeth, secured the guardianship of Jane Grey, a potential wife of Edward, and visited Edward and gave him money and presents. Somerset, on the other hand, began to court Mary's favor, the heiress of Edward. Somerset's reformations. He promoted a form of agricultural law, creating fixed rents and the abolition of enclosures. He attempted to reform the judicial system in favor of equality for all. He established a court of plea at his own home in London. This earned him the nickname the Good Duke. He wouldn't allow anyone to be tortured or burned over religious matters. However, he was grasping and greedy. Seymour was causing embarrassment to Somerset. He wooed Elizabeth and married Catherine Parr. After her death, he returned to ask for Elizabeth's hand in marriage. He tried to get Edward to sign a document dividing duties between him and Somerset. Edward, advised by Cheke, didn't sign it. He wanted to use his position as Lord High Admiral to have a call. He even encouraged piracy and asked for a share. He charged ships a toll to pass from England to Ireland on official governmental business. Seymour planned to kidnap Edward, helped by Fowler. Finally, he was executed in 1549. Somerset himself fell from power because of his stubbornness and his brother's disgraceful ambitious attempts.